here at St. Vincent's. Unfortunately, later into the night, we will certainly keep you updated. But again, those numbers, sadly, 320 tonight here, 55 in critical condition, 3 dead. There have been some that have been treated, only about a dozen, and sent home. Now, my colleague Rose Walia has been at Bellevue, the other trauma center that is closest to the World Trade Center, that has been taking, and she files this report.
It was obvious it was under attack.
And when the attack was over, thousands lay injured, and a symbol of might recognized throughout the world, destroyed forever. In the morning hours, the FDR was shut down to motorists to allow emergency vehicles to respond quickly. Then the ambulances poured into hospitals throughout New York. Hundreds were treated for critical injuries, broken bones, and others were dead on arrival. The number killed, though, still unknown, and hospital officials expect the worst is yet to come.
We're going to see probably very, very critical patients with tremendous crush injuries, tremendous traumatic injuries, as they explore the area and find people in this disastrous place.
We really need your help, though. We need your blood.
As word of the catastrophe reached the public, throngs of residents lined up to donate their blood.
You have to be realistic, and you got to let cops and firemen do their job, and as an individual, this is probably the best thing I can do and just stay out of the way and just give blood.
But by 4 this afternoon, donors were being turned away because so many turned out to do what they could to help.
They are stocked completely here. They've got no more room to store blood, so come back tomorrow.
Considering the scale of the disaster, hospital officials say they have dealt with the situation well. In addition to patients going to hospitals, many doctors, nurses, and other staff members were transported to the scene itself to aid victims because those victims could not be removed. And officials say they're not exactly sure when they'll stop helping victims through their emotional and physical trauma. Rose Walia, CBS 2.
All right, of course, Rose, her report, and also Whitney Casey talking about how many of the hospitals in New York basically turned into trauma centers today. The figures that we had from Whitney, 320, she said, injured at St. Vincent's Hospital, with 55 critical. That's the latest information we have on that.
Todd McDermott is joining us now in the CBS 2 Information Center with some new info. Todd?
Ernie, Angela, first, it's a name that's been on all our lips since this morning, Osama bin Laden. The U.S. intelligence is now piecing together the case linking bin Laden, that renegade Saudi prince, rich Saudi man, to the unspeakable crimes that have occurred in this country on this day. They come from 2 different sources: an intercepted communications between 2 of bin Laden's people and the cell phone calls made from several aircraft in the moments before the crash at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. First, U.S. intelligence intercepted communications between 2 bin Laden supporters discussing the attacks on the Trade Center and the Pentagon, and that's according to Utah Senator Orrin Hatch. Again, Orrin Hatch says the U.S. intelligence has nailed down this communication. He is the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee. They also have some interceptive information that included people associated with bin Laden who acknowledged a couple of targets were hit, again, after the fact, saying they had hit some of their targets. Hatch said this in an interview a short time ago. He declined to be more specific. Also, he says law enforcement has data possibly linking one of the people on the flights to bin Laden's organization. Again, government industry officials say at least 1 flight attendant and 2 passengers called from 3 of those planes as they were being forced down in New York and in Washington at the Pentagon, each describing similar circumstances. The callers indicated hijackers were armed with knives. In some cases, they actually stabbed flight attendants to control the plane and forced them down. As you know, 2 planes struck the World Trade Center. A 3rd plane hit the Pentagon. A 4th plane went down in western Pennsylvania. It's believed that plane was bound for Camp David, the weekend White House in Maryland. Again, it appears the U.S. is piecing together a case linking Osama bin Laden to the terrorist attacks here today on U.S. soil, despite the Taliban in Afghanistan, where bin Laden has been in hiding for some time, being harbored, the U.S. government believes, by the Taliban, denying the fact that bin Laden could possibly have been involved in this wide-ranging terrorist attack. Now, I want to show you some videotape of the aftermath of the attack we are talking about. First, we'll go down to Vesey and Church Street if we can. These are people who are either on the street, who had escaped from the building in the moments after the building's collapse. You are on the street at Vesey and Church. This would have been somewhere between 10 and 10:30. That is followed by what has been described continually as a war zone. Ashen-strewn cars, blazing fires in buildings, people running for cover, people in a panic, crying, many people hurt. I want to add again, these are pictures that we have seen from other countries. We've never seen anything quite like this on U.S. soil. This is video of Manhattan, lower Manhattan, today, September 11th, 2001. We also have a third tape of the aftermath of what's gone on here. Again, the two twin towers, 110 stories each, no longer visible, no longer part of the New York skyline. And more burning cars, more devastation. And again, now there are reports, we may not know for weeks how many casualties actually resulted because of these attacks. Again, that's the aftermath of the scene there. I am told that the streets of Manhattan tonight are more quiet than anyone could possibly imagine. And most of Manhattan is shut down. Ernie, Angela?
It's like a ghost town. Todd, thank you.
Hard to believe what we see. We also have more information in the CBS 2 Information Center. Dana Tyler is standing by with more on that for us. Dana.
Ernie, Angela, as we talk about the city being a ghost town tomorrow, the city will be joined by as many as 3,000 National Guard troops. Will be in New York City tomorrow morning. You remember earlier today, Governor George Pataki giving the order for them to come help. All of the states, New York Army and Air National Guard troops will report to their duty stations. So far, 750 troops have reported to posts in the city. 750 more are expected tonight at the main mission staging area. That's at Stewart Air Force Base in Newburgh, New York. 6 Humvees will also be transported from Syracuse to Newburgh with communications equipment. The governor ordering a full complement of the Guard's equipment: water tankers, cranes, wreckers, loaders, dump trucks. As we've seen already, the city of New York sending dump trucks down to the south end to help with the rescue and the cleanup. Also, the FBI, Attorney General John Ashcroft, it's important to say again, you might have seen this on the CBS News special, him asking anyone with help here, information about the terrorist attacks, to contact the FBI via a new website that's been set up. It has been jammed with hits already, but I will give you the website address: www.ifccfbi.gov. Once again, www.if, as in Frank, ccfbi.gov. It is run by the Internet Fraud Complaint Center. 10,000 complaints about consumer fraud last year, but already today it is taking information, helping in the investigation in the tragedy here. And also, Todd talked about this, and just more coming in information about phone calls made from the planes. One of the passengers, Barbara Olson, the wife of a top Justice Department official, called her husband as the hijack was happening. Her husband, Solicitor General Theodore Olson, and her saying to her husband that they had knife-like instruments, making all the passengers go to the back of the plane. Also, another plane, a businessman who's been questioned by the FBI, says that his son called his father twice, and that both times the phone was cut off, his son making those frantic calls, that he had said a stewardess had been stabbed. In the second call, the son said the plane was going down. More of these first-hand accounts from people who might have used their cell phones, and again, the search for the black boxes. Ernie, Angela, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dana.
We were looking at some of that incredible video just a short time ago from Todd. To see that, it's so foreign to our eyes on U.S. soil, and it's unimaginable, the devastation, and it's just starting to sink into us right now. Prayer services, Angela,
Yes.
of course, you've been hearing about these prayer services
definitely.
throughout the day.
And actually, I had a friend call me today and tell me she stopped over at St. Patrick's Cathedral to pray. That's where Pablo Guzman is now, and I'm sure you've done your share of praying as well. Pablo.
Actually, at 2 different locations. Earlier today, we were at the New York Blood Center, and normally they have to beg people for donations. Not today. Hundreds of people spontaneously showed up to donate blood, so many that they were overwhelmed and began giving out tickets for people to return tomorrow. However, if you have type O or type O negative, you are asked to come because you will be rushed to the top of the line, as there is an acute need for those particular blood types. Now, as you said, 5:30 this evening, there was a special service here at St. St. Patrick's, presided over by the Cardinal himself, offering comfort and compassion. The Archdiocese always stands with the city in a time of crisis, but there was a particular feeling here because the Archdiocese lost a long-time chaplain of the fire department who was killed in the World Trade Center towers. You are about to hear two different voices that together capture perhaps most of the conflicting emotions that New Yorkers are feeling right now. First, the Cardinal, he quotes from the Gospel according to St. John, when Christ had to comfort the disciples who were scared when he told them that he had to go now and pay the ultimate sacrifice. They were scared. He said, "Be not afraid, have courage." The other voice is an angrier one, a man on his way into the service at St. Patrick's, the former mayor of New York, Ed Koch. First, Cardinal Egan.
We are not afraid. We are a courageous people. We're in the hands of our God, and we're a strong and good people. Fear is not part of our experience today.
You're saying don't treat this as an isolated act, treat this as an act of war.
It is an act of war. What else would you call those who send planes to destroy buildings in which innocent civilians, 50,000 of them, are working, and then even attack the White House and the Pentagon? That's an act of war.
Now, I have been in touch throughout the day with the investigators that I've talked with in the past who covered the first World Trade Center bombing, the Oklahoma City bombing, and this investigation. And there's a few things that they're looking at. One, that the team that were involved here, they had people who knew how to fly those planes. That tells them something. Also, how coordinated this was, that there had to be at least a year of planning in this, maybe more, going back to when the Millennium blasts that were planned fizzled, did not materialize. And also that what happened here does have its roots in the Middle East, and that what happened here, you can't try to rationalize or figure this out logically, they say. You have to deal with people who are coming from an entirely different place, who have been at war all along, and that the inner circle of the Bush administration, the people that I talked to who are talking with Washington, whatever may be said publicly, diplomatically in the beginning, they were treating this as an act of war. Pablo Guzman, CBS 2. Back to you.
Okay, Pablo, thank you for that wrap-up tonight from St. Patrick's Cathedral and more.
Now we want to get more on this whole situation. We have a terrorism expert with us now, Mika Halpern. Mika is America Online's Israel columnist. He's researched terrorism extensively and frequently lectures on the topic. Mika, appreciate you being with us. As a matter of fact, you're here visiting relatives. You live in Jerusalem.
Exactly.
Yeah. The question I've been asking all day, and I'm so glad you're here, is how in the world could this happen to the largest, greatest superpower to ever exist? What happened to our intelligence and our counterintelligence? How come we didn't know this was going to happen?
Well, the first reason why it happened is because America is a great democracy, and it preserves and embraces freedom. And as a result, a tremendous amount can happen under the noses of democracy. The other reason how it could happen is fundamentally the United States is a target of terror, because it does not agree with the essence of fundamentalist Islam.
So you're saying this is not about our supporting Israel. This is a much larger issue.
Yes, it is absolutely not about the United States' support for Israel. It's rather about who the United States is. The United States represents freedom, democracy, equality for all people. It represents a Satan, ultimately, to fundamentalism.
Mika, talk to us today now about the mindset of the terrorist, this incredible coordinated effort as to what happened today. How do you see it?
Thousands of pieces had to be brought together in order for this to happen today. Imagine two planes coming from completely different places, entering into the same airspace, hitting nearly the same target, but specifically two different places right next to one another. Not even to mention a Pentagon attack and another attack directed towards Camp David. All symbols. Symbols are very important. But terror itself is not suicide from the point of view of the fundamentalist Islamic perspective.
It's martyrdom.
Martyrdom is essential, and martyrdom is embraced. It's heroic. It's something they can be proud of. It's something that can be passed on to, and their families can bask in the limelight.
Who are these people? This has to be a well-orchestrated, well-organized group, because, as you said, the choreography was unbelievable.
That's exactly what it is. It's a well greased machine. It's not a single individual. It's a mistake to assume it is. It's tremendous movements, and movements working together. It's movements of intelligence. It's movements of apparatuses, things that are integrated and interwoven. It's also has to require specific knowledge.